What's up, guys? I'm back. Yeah, like I said, I wanted to do this one right after. I was gonna do this one originally first, but I figured Creed was like the bigger movie, so I'd get that one out first. But today we're basically on to the spin-offs of the Shrek franchise. I'm doing the first Puss in Boots. I remember I didn't see this when it came out. I don't know why I didn't. I really don't know why I didn't see it. I think it was just at that point. I don't know if I just kind of phased out of watching like animated movies or something. I just didn't go see it, and I just never ended up doing it. But I watched it. I guess it would have been late last year because Puss in Boots: Last Wish came out, and I figured it makes sense to watch this one first before watching that one. And that one, which I'm reviewing on Friday or on Saturday, it will be before the weekend is over. But I'm gonna try to do it on Friday. Um, that first Last Wish was so good. But anyway, before we get to that one, the first one, I think the first one was decent. It's a decent spin-off. It goes into his origin story, but not I like that the whole movie isn't his origin story. Like, there's a part of the movie where Puss explains why he's on the run, and in that Humpty Dumpty, him and Humpty were childhood friends. They ended up basically getting manipulated doing a robbery. The town thinks Puss in Boots did it, and basically became a no, essentially like the antichrist. Like, basically people started hating him, and this is where he started being on the run. So I think it's a good side story. It works. I like that we kind of get to explore more of the world, in this universe, because in up until really the first four movies, it's really far away, and then like the fairy tale creatures. So it's kind of cool to see different things. That was cool. But it was the way Puss in Boots is introduced is pretty badass. The story's pretty simple. He meets Kitty, who he thinks is like a rival, but it turns out she's associated, and it's a she. I thought she was a good character. Humpty's a fun character, even though you can almost say he's the villain, but you kind of feel bad for him because you understand, like, he was basically, even in his origin, he's bullied throughout like his childhood, and it was really only Puss who befriended him, but wronged him. But they realize they can get the real villains of the movie, in a sense, are Jack and Jill. They're basically the villains throughout the film. I'd almost say they were fine, even though I'd almost say they were more kind of a comedy villain. But it's fine. That's kind of always been a trope in these movies. The villains aren't always up until wait till Last Wish. That point isn't going to be true then. Because holy shit, Death is, I would say, a legitimate good villain. Like, I would put him, like, he's a legitimately good villain. But up until that point, I would really argue the villains are definitely more on the comedy side, right? So they're not going to be like these badass villains who destroy and fuck shit up kind of thing. So yeah, Jack and Jill were definitely more of like a comedy kind of act villain, but they were fine. Basically, you got to steal the golden, not the golden, the beans, where the beanstalk leads to fucking, god damn, sorry guys. Leads to the golden goose. Humpty ends up screwing Puss initially to give revenge because he thinks Puss abandoned him, and they go back to the town they once lived, and then yeah, the town is doomed. Like, the movie's pretty simple, so I do like that. I think the humor is pretty funny. You still have that kind of adult Shrek humor there. There's even a joke where Puss in Boots, before he gets arrested, the guy, the jailer's like, catnip, which essentially is cat weed, essentially. So that was funny. But overall, like I like it as a movie. It's simple. I like that the whole movie isn't the origin story because they could have easily went that route and just had the whole origin movie be an origin. But no, they Puss explains it in that scene, and then it's largely the only problem. It's hard to tell if this is after Shrek 4 or because I know for sure Last Wish is because there's even a line where they allude to Shrek and Fiona. I'll spoil that part in Last Wish, and I'll go more into that Friday. But it's essentially, yeah, like you. This one, it is hard to tell where really the timeline is, but where it is in the timeline. But the movie itself is fun. I'd recommend it. It's only like an hour and a half. It's not long. Puss is a great. He shines in it. Humpty's a funny little character, even though, yeah, he's. I would almost say he is almost the villain, especially towards the end. But then he does end up redeeming himself in the end. So that's why it's hard for me to really say he's the villain. Like I would say more Jack and Jill are the villain. But yeah. So out of 10, I would give this one like an 8. I enjoyed it. Can't wait to do Last Wish though. That one is like easily one of the best animated movies in fuck, I don't know, a decade, maybe longer. Like that one is really fucking good. So I can't wait to do that one. And then yeah, we'll be done with the Shrek movies essentially. But tomorrow, not tomorrow, later today. So I'm present doing 3 videos. Later tonight, I will be reviewing Operation Fortune, same style of in Creed, spoilers and all that. Movie opens up. We see Puss in Boots, sleep, kind of, getting up from sleeping with the cat. He's a quick fight, does a quick escape, and he's a fugitive. He wants to restore his honor, so he learns of Jack and Jill having the magic beans, because they have the beans that lead to this gold castle that has golden eggs in it. But another cat named Kitty, who initially you think is like a guy, who you think is like the villain of the movie. They have a quick fight, which is pretty funny. Because initially he tries to steal it. Because we don't know who she works for at this point, so they have a quick fight, and then we find out, yeah, that it's a girl. That Kitty's a girl, and that she works with Humpty, who Humpty asks him to help steal the the magic beans. He initially refuses and Puss walks out. Kitty tries to convince him to do it, and this is where we get the origin. And I think the way they did it here is so much better because if they had just did the whole movie as an origin, that would have been kind of boring. So it's a good idea. Let's not have the whole movie be that. So he befriends Humpty because Humpty's seen as the town. He's seen as like story town drunk, even though he's not really a drunk. And it's basically the pariah. That's the word I was fucking thinking of. He's he gets bullied. So we see Puss's skill even as a child. They befriend each other, and because they said they're put along with Humpty, that Humpty said we're gonna make our destinies and stuff, and then basically Puss in Boots got manipulated into doing a robbery from that said town. Who the character I'm trying to find the mother's name. Oh, Emilda. Yeah, Emilda is his adopted mother. Who loves him and all that. But when Puss in Boots gets caught stealing, and Humpty basically let him take the blame for it. Um, so, and that's how Puss ends up becoming on the run and becoming, basically becoming a criminal. Kitty manages to convince him to come back. Humpty says he promises, to redeem himself. So he agrees. They initially steal the card scene was pretty fun. It's a fun little sequence where the Puss and Kitty were trying to steal the beans from Jack and Jill. And throughout the film, you can tell Puss and Kitty are falling in love. Whatever. Um, they end up making it up, getting the beans. The beans work. They turn into the stock. They go up to the clouds, and this is where they find the golden castle. Which this is a fun little sequence. Little, even though it felt a little Jurassic Parkish because there's a giant, basically goose, essentially, because they're goose eggs, chasing them. You don't see the goose, but they're like hiding it from it, and it's like running around. It gave me little Jurassic Park vibes there. That was what I was thinking that the first time I was watching it, Loki. They end up finding the eggs, but the eggs are too heavy. But they find one of them has hatched, so you see a little golden goose, and we get some hijinks with them. I thought that was funny. Um, they escape the castle and destroy the beanstalk. They celebrate that night. Puss flirting more with Kitty, even though you can tell Humpty likes her too. Then nightfall happens, and they wake up. Kitty and Humpty are all gone. Puss thinks, oh, they got kidnapped by Jack and Jill. He goes back to San Ricardo, and this is where we get the reveal that Humpty was working with Jack and Jill because he feels like Puss wronged him, and he felt abandoned, so he kind of wanted revenge. Yeah, the people end up arresting him, and they all take the golden goose. So Humpty is seen as the hero, and this is where we get that catnip joke. Um, Puss stages well, before that he meets Jack, not Jack. He meets Andy, like basically the original Jack and the Beanstalk, who tells Puss because they stole the eggs that the Great Terror, which is the giant goose coming, is going to destroy the town, and you see it coming, and we end up finding out that Humpty actually knew because he basically wanted revenge against the town for making him like the pariah and being bullied all these years. Like, I guess the more I am thinking about it, he kind of is the villain, but he does end up redeeming himself. Kitty helps Puss in Boots free himself from prison. Puss instead originally was gonna kill him. He decides, you know what, to tell Humpty to try to redeem himself and maybe be so he can actually be the hero he wants. So Puss manages to convince him, and the goose shows up. And they decide to lure the Great Terror away, which is this giant goose away. They end up getting her eggs. Humpty falls, and he's just golden. Fucking hold on, shit's making. And we actually find out, yeah. So Humpty ends up falling and saying, because Puss is holding him, he falls, and it turns out that he's actually a golden goose also. So he actually ends up being. He's fucking sorry, guys. Fucking hell. So, Great Terror is reunited with her baby, takes them away. He reunites with the Milda, and they end up. He becomes the hero of San Ricardo. Kitty kind of goes off, and they kiss and whatever. Sorry if I'm rushing this. I'm trying to so I can shut this up. I don't know how long this is gonna go. Anyway, Puss in Boots is decent. It's a decent spinoff. I'd recommend it almost just to watch the second one. Even though, in a way, you probably could watch the second without the first one. But I think this one's worth watching. It's fun. It's only an hour and a half. It's pretty fun. It's a fun little flick. You have fun characters. I actually like a lot of the voice actors in this. Zach Galifianakis is Humpty Works. Perfect casting. Salma Hayek is Kitty, and it like a pretty good cast. Fun little movie. It's not long. Like I would recommend it. Just it's a good one. It's not the greatest movie. That's why I was like. That's why I would say it's a decent movie. Anyway, Friday, Puss in Boots: Last Wish. I cannot wait. That one, that one I should have seen when it came out, but I saw a bit after it. But luckily, at least I saw it in the theater because that one was best animated movie in decade. I'm gonna almost say double digit. It's definitely been double digit years. Like this one, I've not seen a good animated movie like that in a while. So I'll be talking about that one more later tonight. Like I said, Operation Fortune review. But other than that, really not much. Puss in Boots is decent. So that's all I can really say. As usual. But I'll talk to y'all later tonight. Peace.